Shalom unto the elect of the nation of Israel, giving double honor to the apostle of GMS, giving all honor and glory and praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai Bahashem, Rokah Kadash. And Lord, when this is edifying, straight to the point, title this lesson is pretty much going to be a 2-in-1 because yesterday, I did a lesson, but Satan, actually, I'm doing the land back off yesterday's lesson, but earlier I did a lesson and, Satan disrupted it and didn't allow the voice to go out, but it's all the will of the Lord. So I'm going to go ahead and try to pretty much reiterate what I said and also, add on more until like pretty much what I was going into yesterday, which was really financial aspects and this Babylonian society and pretty much the collapse of it and the strength of the nation of Israel while they're in captivity and their effects, So what you see here is barricades, pretty much what they use in protests and things to protect, officers or those in authority. So the point of this lesson is the rich, the middle class, Salakia, is the barrier unto the rich. And the poor class is those, opposing to this force, those throwing rocks, those coming against them, fighting, protesting for whatever may be the cause, which is, righteousness and fairness and equality and things of those sort. Everybody wants to be, fed and things of those sort. But, you got those 0.1 percenters and then you got the majority, everybody not going to live the same. And I'll bring out the precepts which I believe, Salakia, bear with me. We about to get in the meat of this lesson. I just got to see something real quick. Shalom to the men and children. Khan. So those not the precepts I was gonna bring out. I hate to not have this already ready, but gotta do what I gotta do. Khan, I want to bring these out, and then once I bring these out, then I'll get into the heat of the lesson and the meat of the lesson. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, which is the keepers of the house is known as, the woman, which is Eve. Why are they going to trouble? Because there's not going to be no one there to comfort them. And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because there are few. So pretty much those strong men are, men. Their husbands shall bow themselves, and the grinders shall cease. So all the everyday grinding, all the everyday working, just, cleaning McDonald's and doing your stocks and, living that illusion life is going to cease because there are few, and those that look out the window be darkened. The windows are really eyes, really your spiritual vision being darkened. So in other words, plague, not being happy and bright. 12:4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. So you ain't gonna hear all the honking and horning, all the people screaming and trying to get to work. People getting in accidents and people getting speeding tickets on the way to work and traffic lights, all that stuff. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, which is the modern day alarm clock. The voice of the bird used to be that cuckoo from the rooster, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. Salaki, I'm reading this really fast. It's just because I already read it, so I'm just trying to get back and remembering to what I was bringing up earlier. Zephaniah 1:10. And it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, there shall be the noise from the cry of the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills, because the fish gate, is known as pretty much a marketplace where you got the ships coming in, export and import. A lot of those things are sitting idle, because many different things, over purchasing, people not having the money, so inflation and things of those sorts. So things are sitting still. Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt going back to Egypt, those, the house of bondage, which is Babylon the Great, because we're all it's holding the Israelites here in bondage, and stay on horses and trust in chariots. Those horses, when you mount a chariot, when you mount a plane, when a soldier mounts that plane, they're pretty much known as pretty much a horseman, because you mount it. And chariots would be, for these low levels, would be planes. We know chariots are real, and they're known as UFOs. Because there are many and horsemen, because there are few strong, they not look out to the Holy One of Israel, nor seek the Lord. So in other words, going down to Egypt instead of depending on the Lord, will pollute. But okay, pretty much okay. Let's get into this right here. The black spending power. The African American population has historically held an extremely powerful position in the retail marketplace, as they've been known to drive trends across food. So, you know, you got KFC, you got Chick-fil-A. So these things, they do their thing, right? They do okay. But when so-called Native American and Hispanic and a so-called Negro hops onto it and, you know, is making videos and just promoting it, is giving that word of mouth, you know, we boost it up, man. Whether it be fried chicken, whether it be a fish fry, the local joint, Salakia, the local joint, a chain restaurant, beauty. A lot of our women, you know, they go down to Elam, you know, to get their hairs done, you know, and they promote it like crazy. So they make money, and the Moabites, you know, they make money off our Eve's nails. Eve gotta have her nails done every 2 weeks, you know, toes and toes and fingers. You know, they go down to Jake, they get their eyebrows done. So, and then, you know, you got our men and women, you know, modeling for these brands that are even projected or really made to people of our community. They're made for higher end people and more, you know. So we hype up literally everything, whether that be shoes, you know, a car, you know, Blake Griffin jumping over a car as a commercial, you know. So we hype those things up. So we are poor due to these curses right here. The spirit's finally starting to flow. Deuteronomy 28, verse 43. It's only 2 verses, so I won't read too much. Bear with me. And it reads, the stranger, which is pretty much these other nations, because we're not really known to them. They're not part of the 12. That is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt become very low. So in other words, we're the tail and they're the head, you know. We're the end of the stick. We get the last of the bits. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. In other words, whatever you need, whether that be clothes, food, raiment, finance, housing, shelter, health, we got to go down to Esau Edom, you know, because he has the great miracles. He has the technology. He has the power. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail, you know, because all these curses have fell upon us. You know, we didn't hearken unto the voice of the Lord, which it says in verse 15. And pretty much, let's play this quick video I seen, which is at a lesson point.
Biggest regret. I spent all my money on these trash ass denims. Over $10,000 of denims that did no benefit for me in my life. These things bring me no benefit on God. I'm gonna sell all these shits probably. But nobody wants to buy used jeans. That's the problem.
And that's Jake for you, you know. Jake will look good rather than actually be good, you know. Jake will literally, you know, jeans that cost $1,000. You know, that's literally like rent. You can't eat these jeans or live in these jeans, you know. But that's Jake for you, you know. So not only are we pound for pound, you know, the so-called Hispanic, the so-called Native American, and the so-called Negro isn't making the same dollar as the so-called white man, but we spend more than a white man. You know, we're not investing. You know, we really can't. But, you know, even if there is opportunity, Jake isn't focused towards that because they're on a temporary run. You know, Jake can't see tomorrow while Esau's planning for the next 20 years. But this place is done. You know, this is not our rest. But either my man would tell you, hey, man, if LeBron can do it, you can do it. If Obama can become a president, then you can become anything in this society. For one, Obama's not an Israelite. For two, he was set up and he is already connected within those families. For three, you know, he done wickedness to get to those top echelons. For four, he's just a scapegoat, you know. He did nothing for people that look like him, you know, so-called black people. And really, they're not his people. He's an African. He's a Hamite, you know. In the upper echelons of our society, you know, which we consider the Oprah Winfrey's, the LeBron James, the Kanye West, the Jay-Z, you know. And it's crazy because we're really the only nation. We're the only nation with rappers and drug dealers and ball players and athletes as leaders. But really the top echelon of Israel is really the elect, you know. And the top echelon of the elect is, you know, the men of the Lord, you know, the apostles on down, elders and bishops who've been laboring and toiling, you know, whose spirits are made to last to the end, you know. Those are really the legit upper echelons of our society, of our nation. And you know, this plays going back to the how pretty much the middle class survives on how the rich survive on the middle class, you know, so the poor doesn't persecute them, because if that barricade is removed, which is the middle class, you know, they're no longer protected, you know, from the poor. You know, they can't no longer sell the fallacy of, hey, you can do it because they can do it, you know, which is really what we're coming into. We're coming into a division, a split between the 0.1 percenters versus the 99 percenters, you know, which is going to cause uproars spoken up in 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16, you know, uproars, divisions, you know, chaos, woe, famine, death, plague, destruction, you know. The Bible doesn't just, you know, spew out. Well, I could say it like this: the gospel isn't the gospel for some isn't the gospel for others. You know, the word gospel going into good news. Good news unto the elect is not good news unto the rest of the world. You know, because the elect shall be scarcely saved. You know, the book says, "Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein." You know, we could read a little bit about this article. Kind of relates to my topic, and really this article is about 10 years old, yeah, like 10 years old, and it was talking during the 2008, so if it's 2008, then that's like about 14 years old, Salakia. No, that's 10 years old, I'm tripping, 10 years old. But yeah, this is during the time of pretty much a recession, you know, so it wasn't going well, but they let you know pretty much. Well, this pretty much tells you, if you have that discernment, that if this is an article that was written about this, you know, back then, and now the economy is way more worse than it was back then, the recession is about to hit way harder than everything that they had, we know we should expect more and worse. There's a deep unease spreading across the United States, as anyone who's living through it can tell you. America's middle class, the backbone of the world's largest economy, Babylon the Great, is in distress. So in other words, if the backbone is gone, this place is done. There's no economy. There's nothing running without the middle class. And the middle class is consisted of a lot of lower level of other nations: Elamites, Moabites, Ammonites. I said Edomites. I said Elam and Edomites. Hamites. You know, you even got some of Jake. You got a lot of Jake. You know, by the end of the day, no one is spending how we're spending. You know, other nations get money and they invest their money or they lean on something. But Jake, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're not making financial good decisions. You know, so when Jake gets poor, you know, when Jake is not able to afford all this ridiculousness like $1,000 jeans, then the backbone is going to collapse. Because remember, we make up 1.8 trillion of the spending market. You know, trillion is huge. That's a huge, you know, input into the economy. As this middle hollows out, millions have fewer financial resources for their families and less spending power to help fuel the consumer-based U.S. economy, you know. So it's not going to be nothing to consume. There's not going to be, money's not going to be traded at the speed and at the effectiveness, you know, at the fluidity as it is now. You know, and this is 10 years ago, so once the backbone breaks, the body's done. America's going to fall and be destroyed within an hour. Shalom.